Hi guys and welcome back to Is It Worth It Reviews. I am iiWi and today we are talking about a small but really affordable DAC dongle coming from Hidizs. It's S9 Pro Plus. And if you remember, I reviewed the original S9 Pro without the Plus, and it used to cost $119. This one is just 79. And that's like $40 cheaper or 33% cheaper, not even thinking about the inflation that happened in the meantime. So this is noticeably more affordable DAC, but it's called Plus, so that suggests it's better than the original. We'll see about that, but for now I can tell you that it's just a regular Hidizs DAC. You have aluminum frame, then these acrylic front and back, two physical buttons for volume control and changing digital filters. I have to say here that volume control is not fully independent from the operating system. It's not independent hardware control. But I think it's nice to have it anyway, because oftentimes I actually keep my smartphone in my jeans pocket and the DAC is the only thing protruding outside of the pocket. So it's much easier for me to get hold of these buttons than to pull out the whole phone. Aside from that, nothing much to talk about really. The cable is detachable, it's USB-C. If you're asking about lightning cable, they probably have it, but it's an extra, it's not bundled in the box. But good thing is that Apple has just started using USB-C in their latest phones, so finally. On the other side you can see two analog outs. One is the single-ended 3.5 millimeters and the other one is balanced 4.4 pentagon. Now talking about the insides, this DAC is based around a Sabre DAC chip. That's, I think, 9038. I'll be putting that on the screen. And the power handling that you have on the outputs is quite decent, actually very good for a DAC dongle. I think it's around 78 milliwatts on single-ended outputs and 138 on the balanced one. Once again, it'll be on the screen, the correct information, because I do not read this. I just sit and talk to you, lazy YouTuber style. And that's basically that. There's not much to talk about except for the sound. Now, I started listening to S9 Pro Plus, and what I noticed is that the sound is very clean. Edges have great focus and really good clarity. The bass line is very impactful. There's quite a bit of slam there, and the control is good too. There is no spillage to the mid-bass. So this DAC doesn't color the mid-range and highs with that bass line, but the bass itself, that deep bass and bass notes, are really powerful and well controlled. And the overall tonality is not overly warm or bright. I would call it quite neutral. But the best thing to actually assess that is to compare it to some other devices, which I'll move to immediately. And it would be very convenient if I still had the original S9 Pro with me, but I don't. What I can tell you, however, using some intermediate DACs, some third DAC that I compared this one with and I had a chance to hear S9 Pro with, I can tell you that S9 Pro Plus is a definitive improvement. The original S9 Pro sounded leaner and thinner and brighter. S9 Pro Plus is considerably fuller and juicier and punchier sounding. And it's also cleaner around the edges, it does separate better. But that was then, and since the original, many other DACs appeared and performed better at that price range. one of them was Hidizs' own XO. And XO goes for $99 currently, while S9 Pro Plus is $20 cheaper. And interesting thing is that they both use Sabre chips, but slightly different versions. And when you compare them directly, you'll probably immediately notice that XO sounds brighter. From the upper mid-range and above, it has just more presence. It's more open, it's brighter sounding. And because of that, it sounds also airier, just generally more open. But XO also has slightly less controlled bass line. And that especially goes for the mid-bass that can sound a little bit warm and even slightly bloated, even though it doesn't sound like that in isolation, next to S9 Pro Ultra that has a deeper, punchier bass line, and with better control too, you notice that when you listen to XO. But above that bass line, as I said, XO is brighter sounding. And S9 Pro Ultra is more of a focused, maybe edge-oriented kind of sound, very precise, very clean, but not so much air and just brightness around instruments and in the recording. But there is one very interesting thing, however. Because of that kind of slight tonal difference between them, if I play something like old jazz songs, for example, you know how they sound very atmospheric, and usually there is a little bit of crackling and sensation of lots of atmospheric, almost dirty, grainy air around saxophones and other instruments. And XO conveys that better. That airiness and openness just serves those older jazz recordings very well. It's also a little bit softer sounding in general. On the other hand, if you listen to a recording where space comes mostly from the lower bass ambience, you know, things like echoes in the room or reverbs that are often added in post-production. So ambience that comes from lower notes, not these high airy ones, that's actually slightly better through S9 Pro Ultra because, as I said, it has juicier, slightly punchier bass line, but also better controlled. It's cleaner. And in some songs, for example, like this one, S9 Pro Plus will convey that ambience and that space around instruments a little bit better, whereas XO, with its warmish and slightly muddier bass and mid-bass, cannot do that. So it's a funny thing, depending on which song you actually listen to, and from which part of the frequency spectrum the most of the room atmosphere and ambience comes from, you can sometimes perceive that XO has bigger soundstage, if that's coming from like higher registers, but if it's coming from the lower registers, you'll perceive that S9 Pro Plus is actually more spacious and has more sonorous sound. And if I didn't know any better, I would probably say that S9 Pro Plus uses a Sabre chip, as it does, but I would guess that XO here uses AKM chip. Because of that softer but brighter, slightly, maybe a little bit more velvety kind of sound compared to S9 Pro Plus with its really clean presentation, a good punch, good control and dynamics, but not as soft sounding and not as airy sounding. So between these two, it's really tough to choose. It boils down to your preference and, of course, to the earphones or headphones you're going to be using with these two. So if your earphones are already quite bright, have a lot of that upper mid-range presence, lots of highs, I would probably go with S9 Pro Plus because it would tame those upper parts just a little bit. It's still well extended, it's just not emphasizing them in the way that XO does. And it would bring a little bit of full bodiness and juiciness to the sound with its great bass line. On the other hand, if you think that your earphones are a little bit tamer than they should be and you want to spice the sound a little bit with upper frequencies, with more air, XO might be a better choice. And that's about it. I think these two decks are quite equal when it comes to sonic qualities. It's just that S9 Pro Plus is $20 cheaper. And if you're okay with that kind of tonality, it's a great deal actually. And I won't make any more comparisons because I compared XO with several different decks and I decided to keep it as the best up to $100 deck. If you want to get anything better, you would have to go to something like Moondrop River 2 or 2 Ti. Anything else that I've heard up to $100, including Moondrop Dawn or some older decks like S9 Pro, and I cannot even remember everything that I've tested, but I liked XO more than all of that other up to $100 decks. And now I can say that S9 Pro Plus is, sonically speaking, on the equal footing. It's just slightly different tonally, but it's equally good. Given that it's $20 cheaper, that actually makes it a pretty good deal. And funny thing is that S9 Pro Plus is releasing today, and I think that first 100 buyers can get it at 69, probably 99, which is like 70 bucks. But given its sonic qualities, both single-ended and balanced outputs, I think it's a really great deal. Now that would be all for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. See you soon. Bye.